Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Results Show, where we feature real health coaches and health practitioners getting real health results for their clients and themselves. As always, I'm your host, Bryn Vermeyer. I'm a clinical advisor for FDN, and I'm the director of our tribe's awesome association, where we get to support the community with ongoing education regarding a variety of clinical and business building topics. Like tonight, we were actually supposed to have Dr. Tom O'Brien on the Pro Series tonight. But then the power went out literally as we were starting the webinar, so we'll have to get them rescheduled. But this week, I'm really excited to have my good friend Chelsie Ward on the show tonight. She is a newer FDN practitioner with an awesome conventional medical background, turning into a FDN practitioner now. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of cool stuff tonight. But Chelsie, welcome to the show. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, it really is. And so, tonight, guys, for those of you watching, keep in mind, if you want information, if you've been following FDN for a little bit and you're interested, I know some of you might not be able to stick around to the end. So you can type in aspiring to the chat box below. I see a few of you already doing that, and you can get more information. And we'll say that again at the end, but for those of you that don't make it. But Chelsie, I'd love to kind of kickstart our conversation tonight by really just asking, what got you interested and what brought you to FDN?
I went through my own healing journey years ago. I came from a world of conventional medicine, as you know, and I was a nurse by background. I realized that Western medicine, conventional medicine wasn't really for me. It didn't really hit me hard until I got sick myself, and I went through everything that I had to go through with conventional medicine. Now, I'm not saying that I'm completely against it, because I know that there is a time and place for it. And I love partnering with those practitioners and those physicians, especially when working with clients. But I think that when a person is in a chronic state of health, sometimes it's just really getting back to focusing on lifestyle and really just kind of, getting their diet in order, exercise, make sure they're not super stressed and things like that. So working on sleep. And I wasn't really taught that. I was just kind of given a medication for a symptom, which led to another medication and another symptom. Put on birth control at the age of 12. And I was on that for 20 years. After that long, I was 29 and ended up in perimenopause. Now, I had something going on in almost every organ system in my body, but I think that was probably the worst for me. Heavy metal toxicity. And I just know that world of medicine wasn't really doing much for me. So I actually wrote a book. The book is called Healed His Way. And I was just learning to heal naturally, God's way, the way he intended us to heal, right from the things of the earth. So that's why I titled the book that. And when I was working with my mentor, she said, Chelsie, you've got so much more than a book here. You really have a passion for seeing others heal naturally. And I think that you should really embark on this new journey. And I started working with clients, and I'd been working with people for about a year and a half, maybe. And I realized that I was just missing something really important that was so helpful in my own healing journey when I started working with functional medicine practitioners myself. And that was the lab testing. So I wanted a way to do that. And, of course, you probably had the same thought, Brendan. What do you do? How do you even get started in this, right? So I was like, do I have to go back and become a physician? Do I have to, go through ND school? I'm a nurse, so do I become a practitioner? And I just looked at all these different avenues, and FDN kind of fell in my lap. And I remember calling and just talking to the people there, and they were so open and really just helped me find and realize that FDN was a great fit. And when it was really the missing link for me to bring into my practice what my clients needed to really thrive.
Man.
So that's where I started.
What a beautiful backstory. And you wrote a book. And I love what you were saying there about, the way that God intended us to heal and healing from nature and all of that. And, it's all about getting back to the roots of the chronic disease epidemic. Like, it's not that we're lacking pharmaceuticals. I'm all for conventional medicine. I'm very transparent about, I wouldn't be alive without conventional medicine. And that's what it's for, is to really save lives with that artificial intervention of drugs and surgery. But it's a logical thing if we come down to the fact that the chronic disease epidemic is grossly a environmental and lifestyle induced epidemic. Therefore, logic would say working on the environment and the lifestyle is our primary defense against it. And as we were kind of chatting about, yeah, then we've, and this, assumptive, stereotype potentially. And so I'm calling myself out on that, but it's just sometimes it seems like then kind of the functional medicine physicians, okay, well now they're running functional testing, but then they still are like overly reliant on treating the results with pharmaceuticals. But then on the other side of the spectrum of all the health coaches and all the health coaching programs out there, nutrition coaching, health coaching, all these coaching, but then they don't have any objective data about the metabolism of the human sitting across from them. So it's going to be generic or biased, sensationalism. Everybody should do keto, right? And
Right.
it's just like, that's kind of what we were joking about, is it feels like FDN is the only thing that, really brings it all together. And using the functional testing to guide our recommendations to individualize their lifestyle-based program, but also, as we were saying, educating them of they can go communicate with their medical providers more efficiently on how to empower themselves and take control of your health. So I totally love what you're saying here.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. I think for me, I was in a place where I was helping my clients, try to get well. And I kind of fell into that trap as well. I came from that medical background. I had that knowledge of this is how we do it. This is the symptom. Here's a medication. This is, and even when I started helping people implement supplements in their life, I think I probably even fell into that trap a little bit. Or when I started doing it in my own life, it was like, okay, here's a symptom, here's a medication, but it became more relief care. Yeah. And I think you are absolutely right in the difference in between where we are and just say a regular health coach or a functional medicine physician. And that is that we are technically looking for healing opportunities in the body. We're not looking at a set of symptoms and saying, okay, well, you're experiencing this and this and this. So we're going to give you this herb, this herb, this herb, because that's more practicing some sort of just natural way of doing regular medicine, right? So we are looking at where your health coach, they're honestly, a lot of them are out here following the basic fad diets, the latest highlighted information, not really interested in the science. And I think that's kind of where some of us like to nerd out. Get into the latest and greatest science, see exactly what's going on. If I get back a stool test, I'm like all about it. Like, what are these bacteria doing? What are they saying to me? What do they want? What do we need to do to kind of bring these guys into balance? What are they asking for? So it's really looking at those as a part of the body and trying to work with them instead of work against them sometimes, I think. And I think that's really where we differ, is just we look at everybody as unique. We look at their set of symptoms. Yes, I think that matters tremendously, but we're also looking at those functional numbers. What are the hormones saying? What's our gut saying? What is going on internally outside of just a number, right? Because we can look at white blood cells all day long. We can look at, all of those things. But if we're looking at even a deeper level, then we really start to get some answers about what's going on, looking at vitamins and minerals and all of those things and what a person is truly lacking. And just honestly bringing in those key lifestyle things, just flooding the body with nutrients, making sure we're getting organic foods, we're getting the right kinds of meats, just really educating and bringing in that additional information that kind of marries the testing so well. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, when you're totally right, and kind of like the more I think about it, it's just I've put a lot of thought into these things, but there isn't really a standard of education in the kind of functional industry, and so even though functional lab testing, right, testing that is looking at all these different things. Oh, we want to do stool tests, look at the microbiome, look at bacteria, parasites, and stuff, or we want to do H2MA and look at minerals and, whatever it is. But, we're the only ones that have a system of like, well, we're not just going to one run test, because you could have, a doctor like, oh, I want to turn functional, and so now I'm using this functional hormone test. Now I'm a functional doctor. And it's like, well, it means you're running a functional hormone test, but where's the system? Where's the methodology? So that's where, as you said, FDNs, we're really pretty learn freaks. We really are. All of us are just, very hungry for knowledge and more information, but we kind of combine it all, the very science heavy of the lab testing stuff, but also kind of spiritual and energetic side of healing. And, it's just, there's a place for everything within our dress model and kind of holistic umbrella. But, one thing that you were saying that I wanted to ask about is, you were already working with clients as a health coach, but then really feeling like, some of these clients were getting stuck, or you see other professionals as well. So, tell us a little bit about how incorporating, functional lab testing as an FDN practitioner in your, pre-existing health practice, health coaching business, how that has, changed things or helped your clients more.
Yeah. That brings two examples to mind that are just amazing. One of them is very simple. I had a male client. He's almost 60, and just absolutely, his health is amazing. Always eats organic. He travels a lot, so the stressors of travel are pretty much his major stress. I would say work stress. But as far as like meditation, working out, incorporating some sort of prayer and stretching, all of those type things where you're kind of de-stressing. He's, getting his exercise in, he's getting his movement in, he tracks everything. He wants to know what his blood sugar is, make sure he's moving enough during the day. So everything was pretty much on point for him. His cabinet is full of supplements. He knows what to do when something goes wrong, but we went through cleansing, detoxification, and he said, Chelsea, I just have this problem. I've been dealing with constipation for about 3 years. Like, it's just been chronic. And we started working together just on some natural types of remedies, like, adding additional fiber. Are you getting enough water? Just, make sure. I love doing yoga, specific yoga positions, just to kind of like stretch the bowel, make sure that it's open, massaging the stomach, just different things like that, just natural maneuver techniques. Liver cleanses and coffee enemas, colon hydrotherapy. Those are some things that I love. And it just seemed like this was not really doing the trick. So we just started with a simple stool test and started looking at the stool. And it was like everything in his stool test was screaming constipation, inflammatory bowel, just all of his symptoms were really coinciding. So we just kind of did a little bit of a broad cleanse on him, just to kind of focus on eliminating some of those bacteria. We actually took him off of probiotics and fermented foods because, he had so many great bacteria in there. It's like you don't really need to work on those guys. They're really thriving, but you just got some other things going on. Just kind of really stopped hitting so hard with a lot of those supplements that he felt like he had to have. And he called me within 3 days and he was like, you will never believe everything is normal. So it's like, I think some people can be so serious about their health and so certain that they just want to do every little thing. They want to take a handful of supplements at every meal. They want to do, just they're plugging away. And his fiber intake was just like off the charts. And I'm like, you're including too much of that, like too much bulk, and you're causing the constipation. So we really just kind of reduced everything and started doing things a little bit more natural. But if it wasn't for that lab test, we wouldn't really understand exactly what was going on in the body to be able to work with it to begin to heal. So he's one of the ones that I think about. That's just an amazing, his life is completely different now.
Yeah. You bring up a good point because like I was saying before, us as an education body, we teach a system and, we run multiple labs because we're really trying to assess for, we want as complete of a picture as possible. And So certainly in our level 1 curriculum, we have the 5 fundamental labs, five chunks of information as the fundamental. And then, when you graduate and you start getting into a lot of the advanced testing and whatnot, you start adding new tools, to your tool belt. And then you have to be smart and know, because, hey, we want to be very respectful, mindful, and efficient with budget. One of the biggest barriers to people getting the help they need is the cost, of testing and services and supplements and, on top of whatever else they're doing. So we have to, how can we get as much information for our dollar as possible? What tests are really going to, and sometimes you have to make do with one thing. I know I had a kind of geriatric client, and just trying to keep it simple. We don't need to dive into the deep end of the pool, but even just by identifying oh, you're horribly reactive to gluten, so maybe let's try not eating that and see what happens. And then her main health complaint of anxiety faded very, very quickly. And it's magical. But so to your point, it's sometimes it's just those little things, the little tweaks to the diet, the little tweaks to the lifestyle that can really yield phenomenal results that stump other people. And it's just, as my shirt says, right? So.
Yeah. And to your point there, I think it's really important for us to remember that we do have the ability to work with other physicians and kind of partner with them. Yeah. It makes me think of a client that I'm working with now, and she's kind of in that same place. She had really reached most of her goals before I started working with FDN, but she was one of my menopausal women that we really just needed to kind of figure out exactly what was causing some of her symptoms to continue. And she was experiencing some fatigue, and she has a fibroid, those types of things that we already knew about. And I just started working with her and saying, hey, you have insurance that's going to cover your CBC, your CMP, your iron levels, your vitamin D levels, your full thyroid panel with antibodies. Let's look at all of those things. Just go to your regular physician. I would love to see the results just so I can kind of see exactly what's going on with in the body. And as we know that we run, sometimes we run different hormone tests, or we ask our clients to do a different type of hormone testing than a lot of physicians may use. So I went ahead and did that part for her, and just expedited that lab to her. And she gave me this beautiful picture, seeing all these labs, and we were able to put some of it on insurance, right? Because she was able to work with her physician for part of it and then work with me on the other part. But I was able to just really get a nice picture of what was going on with her. So it's amazing the changes that she's been able to go through because of that, though. She's calling me. She's like, I'm having a regular cycle. Everything's back on track. She's not having any symptoms of menopause anymore. So, and those cases are just beautiful. It's amazing to see what can happen if we allow the body to heal naturally just by running these labs. And like I say, she was a client for probably about a year to a year and a half, maybe, before I came into FDN. And when we started testing, it was just bam, that's it. I mean, everything began to line up for her.
All about, one thing that I really preach with my own business and my own, tribe and everything is just practicing unconditional self-love while working smarter, not harder through, the functional model. And I loved what you were saying there, because, it's I don't know, it's just too silly and unfortunate of this kind of bigotry with, alternative versus conventional versus function versus, aren't we all trying to help people and save the damn world? I don't want to hear any of that scarcity mindset, egotistical crap. That's not helpful.
Right.
Let's work together. You have training, I don't. I have training, you don't. Let's get over it and go help people. It's my attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, you're talking about mindset. So I would love to bring that up regarding our clients, because I think that's a really huge thing. I think it's so missed today. It's missed in conventional medicine. We have psychology and it completely focuses on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it's looked at, like it's either looked at as you have physical symptoms or you have mental symptoms. And it's not really looked at as a whole. Like the whole human body is not looked at in entirety in a lot of different ways. And I think that's something that I really love to focus on as I'm helping people through their process, you know. And probably if I have clients come back to me in the end, this is something that really, really is some of their biggest breakthroughs. And that is mindset changes, mindset shifts. You know, and you know how it is. Clients will call you and they may sometimes get on the phone and they're crying and they're really, you know, they're distraught because symptoms are stressful. Sicknesses are stressful. It's a lot to deal with. I deal with a lot of people with like food addiction, cravings and things like that. And it's more because they're unsure how to process those emotions. So, you know, when we go through those things, and we're able to kind of walk them through the process to get so they know and understand how to go through it instead of carrying it on top of them and feeling like they're a victim, then it really allows them to experience that freedom. So,
yeah, it's absolutely crucial. I'm glad that you kind of brought up the mindset piece. I was thinking too, it's funny, you mentioned, you know, your client saying she had regular cycles and all that from doing the hormone test. And I was laughing because one of my long-term clients, love her to death. You know, she's been having these hormone issues for a long time and we have wins, you know, it's all over the place. But then I always get these texts like, but you know, I'm a young dude and I am getting all these texts from women clients about like, hey, my period was 32 days. I'm so happy. And I'm just like, God, I love them though. But anyways, yeah, the psychology piece is crucial. And that's, I literally have to bite my tongue so I don't go on that tangent, but it's just, that's part of my issue with kind of the paradigm of today. I mean, our society and our healthcare system of, it is this very much like, you are a victim. This has happened to you. You are powerless. You don't have any control. You have to rely on external, you know, medications to get well. It's this. Now, I'm not saying anything about the medication. The medication might be very damn necessary. The point is, I don't like the psychology going on there because with the scientific literature, we know psychology has a very direct impact on our physiology. And without going down that rabbit hole, it's very, very simple. Positive psychology is healing. It helps the immune system. It changes the cytokine signaling. You know, negative emotion and victim mentality and all of that kind of more low frequency energy, it hurts us. It causes dysregulation. I mean, we all know, you know, cortisol rises with emotional stress, lowers secretory IgA and suppresses gastric acid secretion. It's like, well, there you go. And talking to plants helps them grow. So why don't we use the knowledge that we have and start building people up and empowering people and inspiring? You know what I'm saying? You feel my vibe there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that it's huge. Like you said earlier, the victim mentality is huge. And I think it's more, it's almost not even that the client is would feel that way necessarily, but I feel like you say, it's society, you know, we're made to feel like that's how we should feel almost. You know, we should feel like we've been attacked, or we should feel like we've been abused, and we should expect payment for that, or we should expect some sort of reimbursement for everything that we've gone through. And the truth is we all go through things, right? We all go through things.
Yeah.
And, you know, trauma it's a lot worse than a lot of us ever go through. But we have to either look at that as a place where we can kind of rise from and go out in defeat, you know, go out in victory or go out in defeat. You know, and I'm just the type, I'm like going out in victory, like I'm going to win. Right. So that's just what I like to teach and train my clients. Like, we're not failures. We don't have to be failures in anything we do. We can choose to be winners in everything that we do. And that's in our mind first, and then it's in our physical body. And I love that we're on this topic, and I didn't even mean to really shift gears, but I think that this is so good because I love to talk to people about how what goes on in your mind is actually what's going to happen in your physical body.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter really what your lab test says. It doesn't matter what eyes your coach say. It doesn't matter what anybody else is really feeding you, because you can really block out everything in this external world and you can begin to heal in your mind before you ever heal in your natural body.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to take place there first. And the more I talk to people, I honestly feel like that's really the path I love to lead people down first, is really healing that mind before we even start going into any other places, because it's super powerful.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very, very passionate about that. Literally putting like a module in my course about the role of psychology and functional healing. My friend, Dr. Nicole LaPera, the holistic psychologist on Instagram, that's her whole thing. And she has just brilliant content on helping reframe and kind of reparenting and all of that. Because that's its own whole movement too. But to me, though, that's the whole nature of the holistic world, is we have to be addressing the mind, body, soul. And the more you try to, the big thing with kind of conventional medicine is, oh, well, it's too reductionistic, it's not functional enough. And okay, well, but even still, though, we can't just focus on, and again, kind of talking about the functional medicine, we can't just run labs and treat the lab results with medications. That doesn't work. It's mind, body, soul, environment, lifestyle based coaching using objective data to guide that process. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? Right. So yeah, the psychology is crucial. And I find that it's generally the number one thing holding someone back from getting well, and staying well naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the lab tests, how they kind of pair with that. Like, you can't just look at the symptom and expect to see the answer on the lab test and go in and treat exactly what the lab says. I had a client recently reach out to me and started talking about, just some OCD tendencies and things like that. And it's like, what can I do for it? And I think there's just such a gap today in someone thinking they can just call you and say, well, what's the pill? What's the fix? And it's really not that simple. I need to know what's going on inside, and I need to know your past and your history. I need to know if you've gone through those traumatic events. And I think it just all pairs so well together. And I think that's what I love about FDN so much, is that it's just so full and so round. And it's just, we cover so many robust topics together, and we all bring so many different backgrounds to the table. So it's an amazing, amazing group.
It really is. We have a pretty amazing community, and I am so excited for the conference. You're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're hanging out November 1 through 3, Hard Rock in San Diego, California. I love me some San Diego, and I love hanging out with our tribe. And so that's where, as we're starting to wrap up here, to everybody watching, if you're interested in this stuff, the conference is hands down the best way to feel out, like, is this right for you? Before you drop a bunch of money on a course and you're not sure, like, go be with the community, experience the lectures and experience the environment. So check that out to get a feel on that. But anyways, Chelsie, super cool convo. We'll have to vibe out more at the conference, but where can people learn more about you and get in contact with you?
Well, I am at chelsieward.com is my website, and I'm on Instagram at Chelsie Ward Wellness and Chelsie Ward Wellness on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, and I actually have a cleanse challenge coming up. Deadline to register is tonight. So if you guys see this before the end of the night, then you can feel free to register. It's actually, you can go to chelsieward.com to my coaching page, and there's a link there that you can get all the details and register. And of course, email is fine too. All that information is on my website to connect with me.
Super savage. Perfect. Perfect. Well, again, to everybody watching, thanks for tuning in. I hope this resonated with you and you got some, soul inspiring, juicy pearls out of it. But Don't forget, you can drop the word aspiring into the box below, like a few people have done here, so you can learn more about the course. Or keep in mind, you can talk to one of our course counselors. Awesome girls, literally their job is to help you decide, yo, is this the right path for you? I love talking to people about it as well. So, keep that in mind. You can always go ahead and register for the course if you're ready to rock. Love to see you all at the conference. But again, Chelsea, thanks so much. And we will be back next week for another episode. Cool.
Okay,
See you guys.
thank you. See ya.